Hi, today we're going to make something out of salt dough. You're going to need flour and salt and water, and when it's dry you can paint it. Most important of all, you need some baking paper to put your salt dough thing on in the oven so that it doesn't stick to the tray. Okay, so let's get started. So here we've got the ingredients. We've got the salt, we've got the plain flour, and we've got the cup measure. Now 1 cup of flour, 1/2 cup of salt, 1/2 cup of water all mixed together. A cup of flour is 250 grams and a 1/2 cup of water is 125 millilitres, okay? So you're going to mix those all together. I've made it already so that I can get cracking, and I put it in this little bag. It's kind of a squishy thing, salt dough, so the thing that you make might have to have like a flat back, so it might be good to make something that you could hang on the wall, like a lizard or a dragon. What I made was a tree, and I'm going to show you the tree that I made in a minute because it's already in the oven. But I've decided to use these long, I'm going to move that flour out of the way so you can see what I'm doing, these long snakes, because I feel like things that you make that are roundy work really well for salt dough. Okay, so I'm making these snakes and I'm going to glue them together like this. Now I didn't have to wet this because when I put it in the oven it seemed to just sort of meld together, so I'm not wetting it like you do with clay. Here's another one, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to twiddle that out a bit, twiddle, 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 move that away. Can you see what I'm doing? Maybe I should have put this on something plain. Now, if I was doing this to go into the oven, I'd be placing it straight onto a piece of baking paper on a tray or on a piece of cardboard, because the thing that you make, you're going to cook it in the oven for 3 hours, okay, until it's completely dried out, and you'll have your oven on its lowest setting. So my oven is on 50, okay, and I keep on going. Look, can you see my tree? It's coming together. I don't want to make it too thin, so I'm going to maybe make this bit a bit fatter, and I'm going to have one of those little knotty lumps on it like this. I'm going to twist that around. Okay. When your thing is completely dry and you've cooked it in the oven, then you can paint it. So that might be something that you need to think about while you're making it. You might think, okay, I want to have this to be a tree. Maybe I'll have a little tiny bird, like this. And I'll put that little bird up in the tree. Okay. I might want to strengthen that branch, and maybe you can have some things on the table for making holes with. I could have a pencil. I've got a pair of scissors, so I'm going to twist that in there. Make a little bird's eye like that. Maybe my bird's a little bit big. I'm going to keep on making some roots and things. Another thing that you could make is a base like this. You could roll and make a piece like this, and then another little piece could go in here. That could be the eye. It's going to get a bit complicated, isn't it? It's going to get mixed up in my tree. Could be an eye, like that. And you could keep adding. I'm going to move my tree along a bit so you can see what I'm doing. Here's my eye. I could add a nose, like this. Maybe some lips. Or maybe it's easier to roll it on the table. Okay, some lips. This would be fun to paint afterwards, wouldn't it? Because okay, that's some lips. Maybe I could do an ear. This, if you made this, you could always make a little hole at the top, and then you can hang it up on the wall when you've painted it. Now there's an artist who makes things. He's made a bread head. He's called Mark Quinn, so you could look up Mark Quinn bread heads if you wanted another idea of things to make, but this is kind of fun, I think. How's that? So for my tree, I keep on strengthening it because I don't want it to be too floppy, and I'll make it higher like that. And in a minute I'm going to get my other one out of the oven, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So here are my items. I've taken them out of the oven. They were in there for a really long time. I still think I could maybe have put them in for longer. I think maybe these little elephants are a little bit spongy on the back and needs to be dried out. I haven't made them before. I haven't had time to paint them, but I think what I'll do is I'll paint them in not too wet paint, and then I'll let that dry and then I'll varnish them. Here's my face. I'm quite pleased with it, but I've been a bit of an idiot and I put it on a piece of paper and it hasn't worked. It's stuck to the paper, so I'm going to have to cut round that. But I'm quite happy with it, and I think it'll be fun to hang that on the wall. But I'm really happy with my tree, which is going to be very delicate. I'm going to enjoy painting all the branches different colours, and then I'm going to hang it very carefully, I think, on 2 nails on the wall. So I'm just going to give you a big wide shot of everything. I'm sure you can think of lots of really interesting things to do with this. Remember, it's quite squishy until it dries, so try and think of things that have a flat back. Rather than trying to make a figure. I'll just show you a little head that we made on a plinth, and it's really sagged to the side. We put it on a bit of wire stuck to a bit of wood, and it's really sagged to the side, although I quite like it. It had a hat on to start with. Okay, that's all. I hope you have lots of fun.